it's not going to be letting up anytime soon.
Yeah, our quick updates here outside of the forecast. Power outages looking good. Not really any to report so much. Airports, not so much, just canceled flights pretty much everywhere, as you could imagine. But let's get over now to Sam Samperi to talk about snow totals. Are we starting to see an inch, 2 inches anywhere?
We're seeing about 1 to 2 inches right now. But again, it's very hard to measure this kind of a storm because the wind is just whipping around. It's very fluffy, dry, powdery snow. So we're going to have a lot of blowing and drifting. So the best advice I can give everyone is send in, your pictures, your photos. You need to measure 3 different areas and take the average, and that would be your snowfall amount. Winter storm warning still in effect. Blizzard warning. These warnings have not changed overnight. Everything is still on track with this storm, and we're starting to see some heavier bands of snow work in from the southeast now. Take a look at this dark shaded blue here, making it into eastern Connecticut, and you can see up in northeastern areas. You can see some moderate snow here, Brooklyn, but the heavier band now looks to be down in New London County as predicted, Montville down through 395, Niantic, and they got a little moderate band up through the New Haven area, up through Meriden. In northwestern Connecticut, look at this, you got almost like a little dry slot trying to move in. You see some very light snow, but it's still blowing around across northern and northwestern Connecticut. Here's the picture, and you can see these bands sort of trying to move in and also develop. They're also stretching apart, and so this is what we're going to be watching all through the day. And notice the trend in western areas, and this is what we've been saying all along, that western Connecticut would have lesser amounts. Here's the big storm wrapping up, and you can see, and that's a sign of bombogenesis and a big storm now developing and moving in our direction. See how the visibility is starting to drop in those heavy bands, but you still have light snow where you have visibilities a mile to 1.5 miles. That's a function of how heavy the snow is falling. You have to get the visibilities down to a 1/4 mile or less to have that real heavy snow. And the other factor, the reason why the snow is blowing around, it's powdery, it's puffy, it's 19 in Torrington, 23 Chester, so the temperatures are falling, and here's the wind whipping up from the north. So it's not as bad with a north wind. You can see that we have those wind gusts up there, feeling like 3 degrees Torrington, 10 in Chester. I'm going to send it over to Dan. He's going to do a bit of some forecasting here. What can we really expect here?
Yeah, exactly. We've established that it's pretty rough out there. It is going to stay that way these next several hours, all the way until around the middle of the day. Into the afternoon, things will start to slowly, and I mean slowly, taper down. So it's going to gradually kind of lighten up a little bit as we go on through the afternoon, but still, the heavy snow will be out there for these next several hours here. This is 2:30, a little snapshot on one of the computer model projections showing it's starting to really taper off across western Connecticut while eastern areas still holding on to that snow. So that's why the theme has been this entire storm. The farther east you go, the higher the snow totals. The farther west you go, the lower the snow totals. Still a lot for everybody, but at least the highest will be in eastern Connecticut. And as we're going through the rest of the day today, that snow continues until maybe around sunset or so, I think is when it really starts to shut down across the state. And then later on tonight, it's just going to get cold. Clearing skies, the fresh snowpack on the ground, and some fairly gusty winds. Those temperatures are going to drop, and the wind chills will as well. So in terms of snow amounts, still on par for around, or still on track, I should say, for around 10 to 20 inches of snow across central and eastern Connecticut. The farther west you go, as I mentioned, it starts to lighten up a little bit, but still 5 to 10 inches of really fluffy snow out there during the course of the day today. So it's just a mess. And in terms of the wind, it'll still be peaking up around 50 to 55 miles per hour for parts of the southeastern shoreline, around 45 to 50 miles per hour throughout a good chunk of the state, maybe a little bit less the farther away from the storm you get, because you have to think the center of the storm is about 100 or so, or will be about 100 or so miles out to our east. But for us, still some very gusty winds, and that's why you do have that blizzard warning for New London County. So just be ready for it. It's going to be a mess of a day. Now, people ask about the blizzard criteria, because there is some fairly strict criteria you need to meet. Sustained winds of 35 miles per hour for the period of 3 hours or more, visibility around 1/4 mile or less, and it has to last for quite a while. So that is probably going to be the case across much of the area as we go on through the morning hours today. So just be ready for that blowing and drifting snow. And of course, we'll have you covered every step of the way. That's the latest for now. We'll send it back to you.